What's up, YouTube? It's JS here, doing a different format today. I'm here with Daniel Richardson, and we're at his shop. Daniel, it's been a pleasure. How's it going?
It's going good, man. Thank you for having me. Thanks for coming out.
Daniel is the head instructor down at Point Blank Range in North Carolina. Thanks for your time today.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to doing an interview with you on a couple things. So let's tee it up. I've known you for 3 or 4 years now.
Correct.
As a student, and then
Yeah.
we became friends along the way. Been taking a heck of a lot of classes with you, and I got to tell you, I'm excited to kind of get you on our Shooter's Corner video podcast today. So we're trying something different for my YouTube channel.
Sounds good.
So what have you been up to these days?
Helping run the store. I'm also the assistant GM down here at this Matthews location, as well as chief instructor. So my plate's a little full on most work days.
Tell us a little bit about your history. Pretty darn experience. So how did you get into firearms and the handgun industry?
Yeah, so basically everything with me kind of all started many, many years ago. I've been doing this for about 10, 11 years, just kind of formally and informally. Okay, I was informally teaching friends, family, things like that when I was pretty young, right on the cusp of coming out of high school. That early college age is when, really started getting into that teaching bug. And I started picking it up, doing it, found out I was good at it, and then said, you know what, at some point I think I might like to make a career out of this. At the point, I wasn't quite ready to do a full-time transition into it yet, so I'd still be teaching here and there, work regular jobs. Spent some time at UPS, spent some time at companies like UniFirst. Got in my late 20s, I said, you know what, I need to change. I want to get into this business full time since 2015.
Okay.
And then, got formal instructor certifications and did it the up and up legit way, and then been teaching classes since I got here.
What areas in the industry have you worked with, or who have you worked with when you were first starting out?
Yeah, so there was a friend of mine who kind of encouraged me to get into the full-time instruction business, George. He used to be our marketing director here many, many years ago. He was a real big advocate of mine to get in for me teaching. He and I actually worked at a competitor store that's also in Charlotte together. We helped open that store, and he really helped with the marketing aspect of it in terms of helping get my product, like courses and everything, ready to market and get the visual aspect of it down. And he had been an instructor for many, many years as well, and he kind of bend my ear on certain things. Maybe he's probably the first person that I would credit to helping me
really planting the seed and encouraging you to go for it.
Especially for here at Point Blank, and then being able to work with other companies as well, like gear companies. And I'm sponsored by Bravo Concealment. They help me with gear like holsters and mag pouches, things like that.
How'd that come about? How do you get some of these?
So basically, I just reached out to them and said, hey, I'm always in the market trying to find some new gear, and I've heard a lot of good things about your product. Would you be able to send me something so I could demo in one of my classes? I did further contact with them, and they brought me on board and said, hey, I want to demo our stuff. We can make sure that you always have gear to demo in classes with.
So you kind of do the reselling, the shooting range, the store, but then you can kind of cover both angles.
And I've also done things, gone like the consulting route for other companies. There was an outdoor range that opened up several years ago down in the South Carolina area, and they called me as one of the guys to help with the consulting aspect of it, not only for layout, but for program curriculum, things like that as well. So I was one of the people that helped get that squared away. I've trained a lot of local firearms instructors as well in the area on different things from different companies in the military, law enforcement world, civilians as well. I've done classes for pretty much anybody and everybody. I'm fairly confident that if somebody asked me to teach them how to boil water, I could teach them how to be the best water boiler.
There's no doubt about it. I've seen some interesting stuff. Look at my notes here, my cheat sheets.
No, take your time.
Have you ever done any special projects that you've historically worked with or reviewed or helped others review? I think that's so interesting. I know a lot of guys out there do that, but hey, we're here and you do this kind of stuff too. So what stories might you share with us?
Great question. So I know one of the first things I did was I helped you obviously do a BCM review on first carbine that you bought.
Yes.
I know you bought it here from us.
Yeah.
And you bought one of the Recce carbines.
Yeah.
On my recommendation, you went out on a leap of faith and trusted me.
It was a great gun.
That'll be one of the best rifles you ever bought, and you trusted me on it, and hope you still like that gun.
I do. I actually took a Chris Serino class with that. And what they say, right, is when you're in a class guys are bolting all this stuff on, and lo and behold, with handmade guns, stuff's breaking, and it was amazing. And you know what? I kind of did the keep it simple principle. Mine just worked. I worked the whole time. It ran for 2 days. I didn't have to worry about stuff falling off and breaking.
Absolutely.
I mean, I paid the premium for the premium product, Daniel, but I'm telling you, I actually said, man, this is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And another good project that I worked on was a buddy of mine, Larry Vickers. I'm sure a lot of you guys know him. He's just right up the road from us, so we got a really good working relationship with him for classes and things like that. And he's been a friend of mine for several years now. Really good guy. I've got nothing but great things to say about him. He's helped me quite a bit, just not only from a mentor standpoint, but just advice on how to be an instructor and kind of what works and what doesn't work. So,
Larry, we're going to get you on the channel.
Yeah. So he's one of those guys that, I call it going to the well. I feel like I can pick up the phone and call him and say, hey, do you have any advice for me about certain things?
Yeah.
And I credit him as one of those people that has also helped me with development as an instructor.
And a mentor.
And a mentor. And he and I actually did something together in terms of product review, so to speak, if you want to call it a review. We had FN come out. He actually set that whole thing up and brought those guys in. They were demoing a part on a firearm. And the gun hadn't come out yet, and they couldn't tell us what it was until we got out there. But Larry kind of set the whole thing up, and basically what the product was it was 3 different types of slide stops. And it was a small, medium, and a large. And the gun that it was supposed to go on, little did we know at the time, was going to be the FN 509 Tactical.
Nice.
So they're all FDE, threaded barrel, tricked out gun. And they had several different prototypes. And Larry and I both kind of went in one at a time and had to give our opinion on the 3 different ones. And they wanted us to do it separate, so it's one of those, we're not cheating, trying to game the system.
Influencing each other's ideas.
So basically it was he goes in, he tries it, gives his opinion, I go in, give my opinion, and we both agreed on the same thing. It wound up being the medium slide stop, and that's the slide stop that they currently have in production on the gun today.
That is so cool.
So that was one of the cooler things I think I've done.
That's a cool story, and that's exactly why I'm glad I asked that question. Cool. Who have you trained with that stands out in your mind? I know when I talk to you, you have a laundry list, a plethora of folks that you've trained with.
Oh,
you know? Each one has their own style. They're really established. So yeah, who? If you had to say pick 3 on the Who's Who segment, who would that be?
Obviously, Larry, working with him, not only from him coming and doing classes and being kind of the liaison for him and RSO and for his courses, but just hearing him talk about how to do something is almost better than actually being able to do it, because you can sit there and absorb through watching, not necessarily having to be in the middle of the action, so to speak. He would be one, and then another one of my all-time favorite guys, obviously, is Pat Mcnamara, and you and I both have taken a class with Pat before.
Yeah.
We know that he's kind of a one-of-a-kind guy.
Great guy.
And he's 100 miles an hour all the time, but he is one of the most credible sources of information, and the guy knows his stuff. He really does.
Yeah.
And he's one of the original guys that are teaching relevant information that's not going to BS you, and it's not going to teach you the internet gunfighter way to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely seems like, I'm no expert. Everybody knows my role. I've been doing this for 3-4 plus years. I've only really been shooting hard, what I'd say pretty, in my mind, hardcore. But as a noob to intermediate, right? I'm not claiming to be anything more advanced than that. But man, when I went to Pat Mac's class, Daniel, it was incredible. He seems to have captured a lot of the, dare I say, tactical elements of training, but he's legitimately merged it with what really counts, marksmanship.
Absolutely.
I think he's straddled both sides and pulled it together and made an entire curriculum with the way he calls his drills after rock songs and stuff. It's cool.
Oh yeah. And the good thing about him is, you don't have to have a specific skill level to be eligible for one of his classes, because he does performance-based training similar to what I do, a version of performance-based training where it doesn't matter somebody's skill level, you build the curriculum around everybody's individual skill set.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate goal with that kind of curriculum.
Oh, we'll come right back to that. Anybody else in your career that's influenced?
I've been excited to get this person in here for a class. Obviously, that's Jeff Gonzales. I've never trained with him personally, but he is coming in July to come take a 2-day class and get on our books as well.
Yeah.
And we plan on making him a regular stop on the tour. I've kept up with Jeff for a number of years, and I've always been a big fan of his work and the stuff that he teaches.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very relevant. He's another guy that not only is he a super good dude, the conversations I've had with him, very knowledgeable guy, very humble guy, and he's gone out of his way to help me out and answer any questions I've had for him. So he's another guy that I look forward to kind of getting a better relationship with him, and hopefully, do more full-time training with him in the future as well.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and he's in that same. What's the name of the group? Aztec?
Yeah, so Aztec Training, yes.
Yeah.
He is one of the people that partner up with Larry and Ken Hackathorn and some of these other guys, and they kind of have a traveling.
Yeah, I'll see him. It looks like they rotate through, and they have their curriculum, and they're related. It's almost like they're all in business together, without getting too specific.
To a certain degree,
Yeah.
kind of, sort of.
It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And I am registered for his class. I'm kind of excited.
You're gonna have a
about
good
it.
time.
Like
You're
a
gonna have a good
2-day
time,
EDC
absolutely.
class. So.
Yeah, you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna shoot a bunch of ammo though. You're gonna shoot about 1,500 rounds, so be prepared. Your
Yeah, that's
fingers
a
are gonna
lot
be tired.
coming out of your EDC.
Your fingers
isn't
are
it?
gonna be tired. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. What? He's a teams guy too, right?
Yeah, he was. He was a SEAL.
Yeah. Okay.
So that'll be fun learning from him.
Right on. All right, let's go. Let's talk about your curriculum. Like, what are you? Everybody in my mind has something they're really, really good at. They specialize in something. Because I imagine there's a lot of trainers. There's a lot of people that are really invested from a career perspective.
Absolutely.
In it. What would you share about you? Like, so 2 things. One, what drives you? Where's your passion from? And what's your focus in training curriculums? Because I observed with you, Daniel, that you're very good at creating things, and we can go into more on that if we have time.
Okay.
But then also, what else? How do you characterize based upon your students' feedback and things that you've got? Tell the audience about what you do.
When I first got here to PBR, I wanted to create a curriculum that you don't see every day. I wanted to kind of put a true performance-driven curriculum out there, not the typical, there's a 7-step draw stroke or a 5-step draw stroke process, and we got to do it 700 times till we finally get it right. No, I mean, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money, and guys are going to get more frustrated than they do anything else. Paying all this money for a class, they need to be able to get the most for their money. There's an area of need, and the need is bring something to market that nobody else in this area does, and we have been successful doing that with our defensive handgun programs. My combat handgun marksmanship course that just launched a few months ago that was a big time success, and I think you're in the one I've got coming up in August as well, and we're almost full on that one. I think I've only got like 1 seat left. That's my next baby, so to speak. That's my big project.
Yeah.
But all those courses kind of have the same outline and the same roots, and the roots are marksmanship and performance-based results. So I'm one of those guys where I want you to be able to do something 10 times and be the same proficiency level as if you did it 500 times.
Yeah. Here's my observations on you. Your classes are relevant, on point, they cover the curriculum, and what I notice is you have introduction level classes, and then you kind of have like a mid-level tier of classes, and then you have kind of like a high-level multi-day class. But what I really like is you'll take belt, Kydex holster, quality components, good gun, requisite number of ammo, but you'll have us dry firing, learning the basic draw stroke, grip, presentation, draw, dry fire kind of curriculum, get comfortable. And this is it's like a building block phase. I've seen you take students and then on a very fast, incline, the next thing you know, everything's building on each other.
Absolutely.
And before you know it, we're at the 20-yard line, doing 5-for-5 drills.
Yeah, absolutely. So
things.
that all kind of along with the approach of the crawl, walk, run phase, as we like to call it. So they got to start off crawling, and then they walk, and then they run. And I think one thing that you'll notice in the training industry nowadays that a lot of guys are doing that I'm not really a big fan of is they bounce around with their curriculum. So they may have a really easy drill, and then they'll have just an impossible hit the wall kind of drill, and then they'll go back to an easy drill. So basically the intensity is doing this the entire day. So what I try to do is just gradually pick up the tempo, gradually pick up the tempo, gradually pick up the tempo. And that allows faster forms of learning to occur, is the biggest reason for that. So you have to understand how the body and the brain kind of work together. The brain processes things a specific way. So once you figure that out and you get the kinesthetic aspect of it down, and what can I build into my training that allows people to tap into that portion of their brain where real learning occurs, and it occurs very quickly, then you got something.
It's hard for me because as a student of yours, I'm used to some of your more advanced curriculums, and I'm trying to put myself back into the entry level point. You have a 4-hour class, an 8-hour introduction, handgun class, basic pistol. What did you call it?
It's a beginner defensive handgun.
Beginner defensive handgun.
That's a 2-hour class. 2
hours. And then do you have a 1-day class?
So I do. I've got a 1-day defensive handgun class, and basically what that is that's kind of the hybrid class.
Okay.
So that's more of a level 1 and level 2 put together, just all in one shot. So for the guys that can't make the 4-hour courses, they can just come 1 day on the range between 6-7 hours and just knock the whole thing out, have about an hour for lunch. They're going to shoot probably about 400 rounds over the course of that 1-day class.
Yeah, I really like that. We go out to 25 yards, anywhere from 5 to 25 yards.
Yeah.
And then on your advanced curriculums, what are some things that you try to cover in your advanced course?
So that combat marksmanship course that I put together, we had the first one in May, and it was kind of the trial run, but this is a class that I've had in development for about 2 years. We're going to dump all our resources into this, and we're going to go for it. The good thing about that combat marksmanship course, specifically dedicated towards the practicality aspect of it.
Okay.
So the first day, we go through all the marksmanship stuff. The second day is where we go through things like the OODA loop concept. Observe, orient, decide,
I like
act,
that.
and you see the chain of events as something's going to unfold. And it's not just, I pull my gun out and I stop a threat. It's how these things start to escalate. How can you diffuse it by doing simple things before you have to get to that point? Role play in scenarios, things like that, and just to simulate how fast this kind of stuff can happen. And we go through that obviously dry with dummy guns and things like that. And there's classroom time built into that as well. But the second day of that is the theory and here's how fast it hit the fan, and I also built a low light portion into that as well, which guys have told me that the 2-ish hour low light program that I built into that is worth the whole
price of admission,
the whole $300 price it's on that class.
I took one of your low lights. It was phenomenal. Of course, I'd never take any other low light. I know there's a lot of pros out there, but man, yours was fantastic.
I appreciate that.
But just all I can say is, if you haven't done a low light, guys, you should try to just find one, go out there, because it's a whole new dynamic.
Absolutely.
And what I was going to say something earlier too, Daniel, is we'll borrow it from Pat McNamara, the flat range mentality.
Absolutely.
When you do your OODA loop and, a lot of indoor ranges, they get stereotyped with like a flat range mindset mentality. So the more creative you can get with the curriculum, and whether it's a drills or you adding barricades, and I remember over the years, we've done groundwork.
Absolutely.
You've brought in barricades. We've done the low lights.
Absolutely.
And I just find that so fascinating. The average Joe on there, it's just, they have no idea.
Absolutely.
But you want low light because that's at you at night in your hallway, bump and bang at night.
That's a practical thing.
What are you going to do?
And to your point, that's where I think that not only my curriculum and the classes we offer here differ from just your conventional outdoor wide open classes. We have to kind of put our thinking caps on a little bit more to still get the same quality of instruction that you get on an outdoor range. It's more of a 360 degree type mentality as opposed to a flat range, square in a box flat range. So we don't have 100 yards that we can set up these long distance pistol drills and sprints and things like that, because you have the handicap of only having a certain amount of space to work with. So you have to deliver your A game, or it's not going to be fair to the student at that point, and then the class isn't going to reflect what you want it to reflect.
I've been very happy with all your course curriculums over the years, and I'm highly recommending anybody, if you live in North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, you need to come on over here and try it, especially in the area. All right, let's transition over to the Whiz Bang 9000 segment.
Whiz Bang 9000.
All right,
I'm looking forward
talking
to it.
gadgets and gear. Who doesn't
right.
like that? Question for you: what is your favorite carbine?
Favorite carbine? Ooh, I would say my favorite carbine that I use on a daily basis that I know the product works is probably my BCM Recce. Obviously the gun that you picked up, that's probably my all-time favorite carbine that I personally own. And then my second favorite is probably anything that Nice Armament makes, because you can drag that thing behind a freaking truck down a dirt road and pick it up and it'll run like sewing machines. But I think best bang for your buck, quality for your money probably comes with BCM, and just one of the best customer service companies that I think I've ever dealt with, not only for being in the gun industry, but just being a shooter as well, and just putting a lot of volume downrange with a lot of different guns, both handgun and rifle. Best bang for your buck is probably BCM.
That's one of my philosophies, is I'll save up instead of going cheap. Of course, I bought a Colt at Walmart. Those were the good old days. LE 6920.
There you go.
That Recce 14.5 pin and welded to make it 16. I just love that. But my philosophy has kind of evolved. I'd rather save up or put on layaway a gun and get something nicer quality than kind of settle. I don't want to settle for a little bit less quality. I'd rather go mid to high end. So I know what you mean there.
And there's a motto in life that we use here,
Yeah.
and everybody should build this motto into their daily regimen when they talk about going to buy a gun.
Okay.
And that motto is, life's too short to shoot cheap guns. Because if it's $250, it's going to perform like it's $250.
Yeah.
And if your life's worth $250, don't hang around me.
No high points.
Because that's probably going to fail when you least expect it to.
Yeah.
So just think about that kind of stuff.
Makes sense.
You know, when you're getting ready to go buy a gun.
Yeah.
Like you said, don't just say, hey, I've got $250 in my budget this month. There's this, whiz bang, made out of plastic gun that rattles around when you pick it up and sounds like a BB in a tin can.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust my life to that gun. Wait a month or two, save up another couple $100 and get something that's going to be reliable and will
buy
do
once,
what you
cry
need to
once.
do. Exactly.
I've
Buy
adopted
once,
that
cry
motto.
once. Absolutely.
All right, let's go. Favorite pistol.
Favorite pistol, Glock 17.
Okay. What do you like about it?
Everything. So Glock 17, I mean, it's one of those that you can't get it wrong.
Yeah.
It's so simple, so accurate, so reliable, and just anybody can shoot one. I mean, we put new shooters all the time in Glock 17s, Glock 19s.
Full size grip.
Full size guns, but they're simple to operate. You insert the magazine, you charge it, and you pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I mean, it's simple, and you cannot break these guns. And I still, to this day, do not understand how people break Glocks. You look on the internet a lot, and people are like, yeah, my Glock quit working or it was jamming.
Well, we know how they do that.
Yeah, it's most of the time that's, not necessarily the gun's fault.
Yeah. Well, putting in aftermarket parts.
Yeah, putting in aftermarket parts, or somebody might be gripping the gun wrong.
Yeah.
Things like that. So
Limp wristing.
It's not always the gun.
Bad ammo.
I've got Glocks that I've got probably 10,000 rounds plus through.
Yeah.
And I've still got all the original parts in it.
Yeah.
Original guide rods, everything.
And that's pretty well documented. Guys will get out and buy the super titanium rod and the buffer this, and it ends up just
And there's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff.
can potentially.
It's just a matter of do your
Affect the
research before
performance.
you go dump a bunch of money into your gun.
Yeah.
Because you may not need this certain product,
Yeah.
or you may pay for something that's not going to do you any good from a performance standpoint.
We're all guilty. I bought the $600 Glock and put $700 and $800 of stuff into
But that's
it.
the good thing about the Glock. It's the man's Barbie doll. I mean, it's like an erector set for guys.
Customizable.
It's an erector set. Nothing you can't do with it.
All right. Favorite training class.
Favorite training class.
That's not yours.
That's not mine.
Beat you to it.
I would say probably, when you and I attended the TAPS pistol course with Pat, that's probably one of my favorite courses that I've done, just because of so many different dynamics that are in that class. I mean, it's just, you kind of have to figure things out as you go, which is another good thing that I like about the way that Pat teaches is, he doesn't tell me the answer to the question.
Yeah.
He asks me the question and then lets me figure out what the answer is.
Oh, that's deep.
So it's, hey, here's the drill, go run it.
Yeah.
And if you suck, then you still suck, but we're going to tell you how to suck less.
Live with it.
You know.
Yeah, I'll never forget when we went to, this is funny, went to Pat Max. I was like, Daniel, I think I'm going to go down to this end. And you're like, no, I'm going right here. If you're going to invest, you wanted to get the maximum benefit of your training experience with the big dog. And you guys, man, you guys were just tack driving guns, one-handed at 50 yards.
Oh, yeah.
That was just so fun. That's just some of his curriculum.
Oh, absolutely. And the good thing about that's another good point. I'm actually glad that you brought that up. So people that shoot at 50 yards, a lot of guys, I mean, you'll hear a lot of guys going, if I'm in a defensive class or if I'm doing something for practicality purposes, why do I need to bring distance into my rotation? Why do I need to play at the 25s or the 50s? And the truth of the matter is, do you really need to? No, you don't. But does it hurt to be able to perform a high level of precision at a great distance? No, I mean, it doesn't hurt because here's the
sure, we all know at 50 yards you're supposed to haul ass and go the other way. Yeah.
But at that point, it's not really a practical standpoint. It's more of a skill builder.
Yeah.
If I can do it at 50, I can do it at 5 or 7 or 10. And at that point in time, guys that shoot at 50 yards a lot, like a lot of the bullseye guys, guys like Brian Zins, who is a good friend of mine, and I've had the privilege to work with him for several years.
Love Brian.
And kind of really build that bullseye type appreciation for how hard it really is to just stand there with one hand and shoot X's at 50 yards with 45 and 22. It's hard.
Oh yeah.
And guys go, well, what do I need that for? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
If it wasn't hard, you wouldn't get better.
That's right. a lot of guys, and I'm guilty of it, I'll use myself as that. You want to run and gun and do all the stuff with the latest whiz-bang 9000 equipment. But I tell you, it's humbling. Going through Brian's bullseye classes, his advanced marksmanship classes was just phenomenal. And I'm so thankful I got a chance to study with him as well. And that's kind of one of the things I do, Daniel, is I try to pluck little pieces from instructors, add it to my repertoire, and get better. I kind of enjoy doing that.
It's good that you are a connoisseur of training, as we'll call it. You like to get training from a bunch of different guys.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate, and I tell guys in classes all the time, and you've heard me say this 100 times, go get training, go take other classes, because you need to hear somebody else's opinion on it. Don't just take my word for it. Mm-hmm. Whether I'm right, wrong, or indifferent, somebody else may have a different way of teaching the same thing, and that explanation or that practical application may be what sticks for you.
Yeah.
And you can maybe build that part of it into your training. So
does the trick.
Say if you are going to go train with other people, scout your instructors first, and don't just go train with anybody that's got an NRA cert or, hey, they got it last week and they're charging $500 for a class.
Yeah.
It's expensive, it must be good.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
Your CCW instructor.
Yeah.
No offense.
So it's just make sure that you really scout who you're going to give your money to.
Yeah, and that's the same thing in the training curriculum. My same philosophy of use case there on the handguns as our purchases of firearms is I'd rather save up for a nice quality class. I've seen some instructors, good, better, great. So what I like to do is I'll save up for the good guys, and try them out. And if you have a bad experience or you don't feel like you connect, like I've taken a class with an instructor, and on YouTube he had this persona that was very outgoing, and then behind the scenes when I really got there, right, he was kind of more withdrawn. And maybe he had a bad day or something. Of course, it wasn't you or anybody here.
Yeah, it happens.
But I was like, it's kind of you just gotta sort through some of this YouTube stuff, and especially when it comes to your training and your hard-earned dollars, you want top quality.
Absolutely.
I want top quality.
Absolutely.
For
and
my
the
money.
thing about top quality is there's guys that command the premium, guys like the Pat Mcnamaras and the Vickers and the Gonzales, because they've got the name behind it, so guys recognize them and they know where their money's going. But then you have guys like me and other local instructors that can't charge what those guys charge if nobody knows me on the same level that they know them.
Right.
Then I have to keep the prices affordable so that guys say, hey, you know what? For X number of dollars, I can come take a class with him, and he teaches just a damn good pistol class.
I think there's a tier of instructors all around the world, in the United States, that have years of experience, and you could go there and for $100, $150 get a top quality class. You don't. On the other hand, you don't always have to do the $500 class.
Yeah, absolutely.
A combination thereof. That's what I try to do.
And I try to keep everything affordable. Like my one-day class is $200, two-day class is $300.
Yeah.
So understand that by pricing them the way that they're priced, it's an affordable alternative. You come to me for the tune-up.
The fundamentals.
The fundamentals. Get a good foundation built, and then you'll have the confidence that you have no problem rolling right in and taking a class with one of those big man guys.
That's another great point. I remember taking a class, and I was nervous. I just jumped right off the deep end of the pool, my brand new shiny AK, and I'm in an outdoor rifle class. I was nervous. I wasn't quite comfortable with the manual of arms, and my jitters were kicking in.
It happens.
Very first drill.
It happens, man.
Yeah. Okay, Daniel, that was fantastic. Good stuff on the training. And I forgot to mention that you guys have a ladies on target.
Yes.
You've got a concealed carry class. You've got a youth camp.
We have a 4-day youth camp that we run over the summer. The 4-day youth camp is going to cover pistol, rifle, shotgun, and just kind of getting young kids 12 to 18 kind of just up to speed on the safety aspect of it, just operate it, how to do it safely and still have fun doing it. And then once they complete that, we also have a 3-gun camp. So we set up 3-gun stages of fire, and they actually get to have like a little mini 3-gun match.
I love that. I sent one of my coworkers' son down here last week for that class.
Okay,
so
absolutely.
You got the T-shirt, and
Very
he just
cool.
had a freaking fantastic. So I'm at work doing my thing, and my coworker, my son's loving it. So home stretch in 2019. What are you focusing on as we wrap it up?
My heavy focus, being the assistant general manager of this location and being the head instructor as well, my primary focus is going to be on beefing up the training aspect of it, because we really want to do as much as we can to bring relevant training to market. PBR is the place to come if you want good quality training at an affordable price.
The word's going out, at least to my group here. So,
we look forward to seeing a couple of them jump in class.
Daniel, a couple of you guys have called down. So you had one guy from Michigan?
I think a guy from Michigan called about a rifle. I think we sold him BCM, if I remember correctly.
Transferred
about a recce, I believe, yeah.
And then one guy called down from Virginia.
Mm-hmm. I think he might have been CZ Scorpion guy, I think.
Excellent.
I think so. I think I talked to both of those guys, actually. So that's cool. Keep them coming, man. We
All
love
right,
it.
so can they just call and what can we really do?
Yeah.
Right? So we've gone through our first video podcast here. What can you do to sweeten the pot?
Yeah, so
I'm definitely going to ask.
Well, obviously, we're all about making sure that people have a good time when they come in here. So first things first, somebody buys a gun from us, they get a free range pass, meaning that their next visit, range time's on us, so they don't pay for that. And something that we also do that nobody else in the area does is we give everybody a lifetime warranty on every new firearm that's purchased from us.
Okay.
So that means that any mechanical issues you have, you're out there shooting the gun and something breaks, goes wrong, you have some weird hiccup with the gun, you pay nothing to fix it.
And I'll just drop it off and give you the receipt and stuff, and you guys will send it back. You'll take care of the shipping.
So either our gunsmith will look at it and see if it's a small problem that he can diagnose, and if he can't fix it, then we'll send it back to manufacturer at no cost to you.
Outstanding. And then?
And if anybody comes down here to purchase a gun and they saw this podcast, we'll give them an additional $20 off any firearm of their choice. Just because we're all about showing the love, man.
Thank you.
Showing the love for the podcast, so we'll work with them any way we can.
$20 off. That's good. There's not a lot of margins in guns.
And it's a good starting point.
Yeah.
As well, because if you think about it, your lifetime warranty, that's basically priceless, just because it gives you, for as long as you own the gun, it gives you the protection of I don't have to go out and spend hundreds of dollars to rebuild it.
Yeah.
And you get an additional $20.
How much is the transfer fee if somebody calls in and they want to purchase one?
So if they want to purchase one and it's transferred into us, it's a $40 transfer fee.
Okay.
So each gun that they have sent in, they would pay $40 for a transfer fee, and we do the paperwork on it, and they can take it home.
And it's vice versa. If they have one, you have one on the wall or in this booth, you got a lot of nice guns, you just $40 to transfer it out.
Well,
their way too?
No. So what would happen is if they actually bought it from us, they pay for it through us. and all they have to do is pay for shipping at that point. We don't charge them a transfer fee to actually send it out, because they're essentially buying the gun from us. So the only thing they're doing is they're just going to pay the shipping for whatever distance traveled is, weight, things like that. Yeah.
Right on. Fantastic. Okay, crazy story, because just want to put one more in.
Okay.
Give me your crazy, disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Okay.
Because stuff always happens, whether it makes it on YouTube or it's sanitized or you hear about someone doing something reckless or say, give me a training story or something to no fault of your own. Give me something. What do you got? These are so scary.
Well, I would say it was myself and another couple instructors. We were kind of co-teaching a class a couple of years ago, and there was an individual in the class who just had a momentary lapse in judgment, and we were doing holster work, and it was one-shot drills coming out of the holster. It was getting toward the end of the day, and this was a 3-day class, so obviously we are still in the foundation building segment. We haven't gotten into anything advanced yet. It's just real simple stuff, reloads, malfunctions, and holster work. Real simple day one stuff. And he's coming in and out of the holster. It's almost the last drill of the day. And he comes out of the holster, puts a round on target, and as he's going back into the holster, his finger is still on the trigger. So as the muzzle's going back in the holster, pow! Smokes one through the bottom of the holster, and it actually did a skitter down the side of his leg. And he had an educational moment that day as to why we say keep your finger off the trigger till you're ready to shoot.
Did you have to tourniquet him or anything?
No, so it wasn't that serious.
Okay.
I mean, it broke the skin. And EMS came out to check the guy out, but he was fine other than some hurt pride. And just
so it hit his quad and then calf.
So it basically went down the back of the hamstring quad area, and it kind of just skidded down the side. So he was that guy in class, and that was one of those moments where he had to eat that one. And
keep your finger off the trigger.
And I will give him credit. He showed up the next morning, and part of us letting him back in that class was, hey, what did we learn from yesterday's episode?
Yeah.
And how are we going to fix it moving forward? And he said, I'm not going to be the guy that does something knuckleheaded again. And
I give him kudos for coming back, because a lot of guys might not want to come back.
He came back, and I'm going to tell you what, man, he shot great the rest of the course, and it just goes to show you, I mean, this guy, he shot for 10 years.
Kept his finger off the trigger,
he shot for 10 years. So it's not like he's a first-time shooter. He's just one of those guys that's just, he got so complacent. It happens. It just goes to show you always got to practice safe gun handling all the time.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, cool. Daniel, I think we're going to wrap it there.
Man, I appreciate you having me, man.
Now, this was great. Thanks for having us in here as well. Absolutely. Guys, thank you for watching this video podcast. As always, we really appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. Let us know. Put some comments down below if you like the format, if you want to see other guests, or me and Daniel interview other people or guest instructors and things like that.
I'm game. Let me know when, man. I'll be there.
We have a good network of people that we know.
Absolutely.
So, but I'm not doing the weekly thing. Maybe like once a month, twice a month max. I think we'll call it. As always, folks, appreciate you. This is JS and Daniel, and we're out of here. See ya.